Hey guys, and welcome back to Crazy About Kickoff with a Twist. We're now on YouTube.
Yep.
And today we're going to be discussing the title race. Is it over? We're going to be discussing AFCON, who we think might win it, who we think's got a chance, who might be the dark horses. And we're also going to give you our team of the year so far in the Premier League. Not in Europe though, because it's a bit long then, doesn't it? Yeah. So John, we'll start with the title race. And I mean, we've said it all season that it looked close. It's not looking so close anymore, is it really?
No, it's not. I mean, if two teams were going to go out the title race in a game, then it was probably the game you wanted it to go out in, because the game between Liverpool and Chelsea was just it was a classic, really, but we've probably not seen for quite a while. But yeah, I mean, Liverpool have a game in hand and they can close the gap to, I think, 8 points. But
yeah, 8 points. Yeah,
it's not 8 points from against this City team. It's almost a gap too big already. I mean, I've seen that there's still like a lot of games to be played that quite favour Liverpool. So you've got quite a lot of home games left, haven't you?
Yeah, we've in the next 10 we've got Brentford, Leicester, Norwich, West Ham, United, Watford, and then City at home, with away games at Palace, Burnley, and Brighton. So it's not too bad, only 3 away games.
Yeah, those away games though are all against sides where you don't want to play them away though. Is it like Burnley,
Brighton, and Palace? And Palace, I don't think we won't have the AFCON lads for Palace. Like.
Yeah, so it's one of them where if you can, it's almost about trying to keep the gap as close and trying to just do your best. Obviously, we've got City.
Your games
in about 10 days' time.
Your games are coming across the bottom now. You've got City is your next game. You've got Tottenham at home, should be an easy one. You've got Leicester at home after Palace away, then Burnley away. No tough game. Newcastle, Norwich, Brentford, Southampton, Leeds. I think most of them are winnable games for Chelsea, to be fair.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I said that on the podcast over at the start of December, where we had a run of like 5 or 6 games which were all winnable leading up to the Liverpool game just gone, and we've just sort of thrown ourselves out of the title race instead of really being pushed out of it by anyone. Like, some of the results have just not been good enough. Like, I think we've dropped points at home in 5 of the last 6 games, which is just like, it's not title winning form in the slightest.
No, but we mentioned in the last episode, didn't we, that your form was a bit shaky and you start to concede like more goals and stuff. And we seen that in the game at Stamford Bridge against Liverpool the other day. It was just a bit end-to-end, wasn't it? A bit of one of them crazy games. Gary Neville and Tyler were absolutely creaming over it on the television. I know you went, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
being at the ground for that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, credit to both sets of fans. I think the atmosphere was really, really good. It was up there. I think it was probably just as good as when I went to the Juventus game earlier in the season at home. Like, it was going. I think the fact it got dark quite quickly, because obviously it's Christmas. Always, I think with the lights and it getting a bit like that, always adds to it. And to be honest, I think when Salah put that goal in to make it 2-0, I think there was a bit of a dip from the home fans, because I think a lot of people before the game were worried that the way we'd been defending and the way that you guys can attack, that there was a chance that if we didn't hit the ground running in the game, that it could get a bit embarrassing. And look, I mean, the first goal obviously is a mistake from Trevor Chalobah, and he has been probably the player that no Chelsea fan expected to play this year. Like, when I
thought he was immense the other day. Like, he had one where he stopped Salah, didn't he? He stopped him from coming inside, like he'd done to Alonso for the second goal. What a ball by Trent! What a finish by Salah! I think Mendy wasn't expecting him to go where he went. He's expecting him to go across him, and he goes there, and it's a great finish by Salah. But yeah, Chalobah defended well against Salah, I thought, quite a bit, and I thought he was quite unlucky to get hooked, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it was just one of them where Tuchel was just trying to make. He has this habit of, like, he doesn't really care how well certain players are playing in the game. He's just trying to make substitutions sort of affect the game and try and bring players on that can offer offer different things. And look, yeah, apart from the mistake, I think Chalobah had a pretty decent game considering he's not really had that much experience against top level opposition as a professional footballer. He's been on loan in lower divisions in France, so I think he did really well. And the Salah one, I think, is like the perfect example of what Liverpool are so good at. Is that I think on the whole, Rudiger had a fairly decent game, but then he fell asleep for one opportunity, and then Salah just makes the run. Trent sees the opportunity, and to be fair to Alonso, I think I can criticise Alonso's defending till the cows come home, but I think he was the only one out of the entire back five who managed to spot the danger. But Salah managed to get the half yard, gave him the little fake because obviously he was trying to show Salah down onto his weaker foot, and Salah just did him really, and then he just had the space and he's got the finishing ability to put it past Mendy, and it was a great goal, and somehow still not the best goal of the game.
What a goal! We've got to talk about that goal by Kovacic. I was just when he hit it, just like, oh my god! And I think more importantly than how good a goal it was, obviously it was an absolutely fantastic goal, but more importantly than that, I think that gave the fans, but also the Chelsea players, the belief that here we go, game on now.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like as soon as
that probably demoralised the Liverpool players quite a bit. So like when you look at that and it goes in, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's one of them where like it's almost because there's literally nothing you can do about it. Like Kelleher does well to clear the ball when he's under pressure. Like your players get out, and it's just one of them where like there's no stopping it, and it almost demoralises you even more than a mistake or poor defending because you're like, well, we've done everything right. So what are we meant to do at this point? And then I think then it was probably gave us just enough time in the end of the first half to think, right, we swung with the momentum, the fans got behind the team. And I think Liverpool were sort of begging for the halftime whistle at that point, and it just didn't come soon enough because then Christian Pulisic, a guy who's taken quite a lot of criticism from Chelsea fans, I think, in recent times, because I think people think it's a lot of like all sizzle, no steak with him, really, where everything he does seems to be almost like too complicated. But he made up for the chance he had earlier in the game and put the ball away with a very good finish after Kane played a nice ball over.
Playing against Liverpool.
Yeah, no, he does. He does.
Liverpool must have traumatized him in like his childhood or something because he loves playing against Liverpool.
Yeah, I think maybe and it must be something to do with it. But yeah, I think, and then after that, I think a lot of people were expecting a lot more goals than that, but it just didn't really happen, did it? Like I think it became
some good chances, yeah. Like the one where Salah nearly caught Mendy, that would have been sensational if he'd have managed to catch him. There was one, I think, another Liverpool one, I think, where there was like a nice little move between Salah, Mane, and Jota, and Mane, instead of like going for the far corner, like across Mendy, he sort of just hit it to the left, and it was just a bit of a rubbish shot in the end. But I think the draw was a fair result for both sides. I think Hughes probably had the better of the game. I thought we were a bit rubbish, and I think our midfield just got bypassed too easily. I've seen a lot of people slating Fabinho, but I think with the way Henderson and Milner played, what's he meant to do really? Look at your midfield, like Kovacic and Kante were just. I never used to rate Kovacic. I rated him when he was young, and like I thought he was exciting. And when Madrid signed him, I thought, oh wow, they've got a cracker deal there. But just didn't seem like he'd kicked on. But now looks like he's finally at the potential he had all them years ago, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players where when he's having a game like that, he just can have such a good impact. Like the way the energy he brings and the way he can move about in midfield, and he just has the habit of being able to just like dribble his way past one man. And when you're playing teams like Liverpool and they are pressing you and they are trying to make mistakes, when you have a player like that in midfield, he's just not making those mistakes in the game. It just opens the game up so much because you get past one, and then you end up having a spare man somewhere, or you have space and time on the ball. And I think between Kovacic and Kante, I think it was a two-man midfield versus a three-man, and I think the
two-man
two-man,
won.
yeah,
Two-man
they
absolutely
bossed
won.
it. They
Absolutely.
bossed it.
If it was a boxing fight, it'd be like a KO in the third round or something like.
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely bossed it.
yeah, and I think, but I think, really good game, and I think while it showed a lot of quality from both teams, it probably also showed why neither team is going to be able to catch City at this point, just because the slight mistakes and the slight sloppiness.
I think, like we talked about then, with Liverpool, I don't know about you for Chelsea, but like with Liverpool, we missed Thiago massively. I think we missed Alisson, although Kelleher did have an unreal game. Maybe the second chance Alisson runs out at him. Sometimes, like the Spurs game, he misses it, but the majority of the time he takes that ball, or he at least gives the attacker that like doubt in his head. Like if Alisson's run out of your full speed, you're like, oh, do we hit this? Do it go down?
Especially with Pulisic, who's not a player who's probably filled with a lot of confidence and not the most shrewd of finishing. Like you've got a keeper like Alisson sprinting at you, it maybe does make you second guess what you're going to do. But Kelleher did have a good game. I thought, Mendy had a decent game. I thought, and my heart was in my mouth when Salah hit that from just about the halfway line. But Mendy adjusted himself well, and I think in any other season you're looking at that as like the top two competing, and it's one for the history books, really.
Solid draw, isn't it? Like if you go away, for Liverpool, you go away at Chelsea and you get a draw. You normally it's a pretty good result, especially when Chelsea are this good. But I think it felt like a bit of a wasted opportunity, especially being 2-0 up and then it's kind of bottling it. But as I said, it was because of the midfield mainly. If you had Thiago there, I think we probably come away with a win.
Yeah,
the way we went up. I mean, obviously the game might go totally different, but the way we went up, if you had Thiago for like the control and stuff, I think you probably win. But do you think City can be caught ultimately?
I think because look, it's football, right? And never say never. Look, City have got to play us. They've got to play yous. Like there's times where they can drop points, and we've seen at certain points this season.
The problem is, though, City might drop points, but the amount they need to drop, will Liverpool and Chelsea not drop? Liverpool and Chelsea basically need to be flawless, and I don't think either of them have it in them this season.
No, I don't think like logic suggests they don't. But if everything went by logic in football, then where would we be? And
well, put it this way: if it went by logic in football, then AC Milan would have won Istanbul. So
and Bayern would have won in Munich. So like and City would have won in Porto last year. So like he's one of those. And look, maybe it is. Maybe it is slightly more. I think from the reaction, it felt that Chelsea fans were coming out of the game slightly more positive, and I think maybe
especially
because
being 2-0 down and you've come back and salvaged the draw, you're quite happy, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, it does. It does make it does always add a bit of a buzz, and I think also the fact that like while we were obviously tipped by people within sort of from pundits with a sort of title challenge, it was never really something that I think a lot of Chelsea fans were sort of that like certain about. And so I think that the idea that we're able to compete with a Liverpool side this early on in Tuchel's sort of tenure maybe is sort of a slightly more positive thing, but we'll have to see. But I think you're probably saying that the title race is over now.
Yeah,
and
City probably.
For Liverpool and Chelsea now, it's focusing on other competitions to sort of get some silverware this season, because I think if either team finishes the season without any silverware, you're thinking how has it happened? Like how have they managed that? Because both sides probably, especially the Liverpool side, definitely deserve something this season. So I think the next bit is maybe a Carabao Cup final, which after the game on Sunday would be between Chelsea and Liverpool. I think it could be one of the maddest games.
It would be a classic, isn't it? Like the one years ago, I think it was it 2005, the Mourinho and Benitez one.
Yeah.
Class, and I think Reece scored early on. It was a screamer, and then you just come back and won. I think.
Yeah, I think it is a sort of shift in focus to the cup competitions, but it's another one where you're almost you'd almost can't give it up this early. You sort of have to sort of try and see it through because it is still it isn't doable, but it is doable. So I don't know. We'll have to see, but I mean, City just look
Yeah, it's
like
done. Probably done.
it's done. Yeah, it is just done,
Done,
isn't
yeah.
it? You can
Right,
I
so
can try
we'll
and
move
convince
on.
myself otherwise, but
We'll move on now to the team of the year so far in the Premier
yeah.
League.
So
So we'll do obviously position like goalkeeper to left wing, 4-3-3. Do you agree with that? Yep.
yeah, I'm happy with that.
I've got who are the candidates for goalkeeper then?
So I think there's probably 4 in the sort of in contention, and I think there's one who you could arguably say stands out. I think Mendy for us has been really good. Obviously, he had a bit of a blip recently, but I still think has been pretty imperious. Alisson for you is the same. I think both keepers have had fairly similar seasons, really, where they've both looked in times where they both won their team's points with the saves they've made. And Mendy did it for Brentford. Alisson's done it countless times for you with some of the saves he's made. And they've both looked a little bit shaky in certain games as well. And I don't know, maybe that just stops them from probably being in the team. And Ramsdale as well. I mean, I'm not particularly starstruck by him as a goalkeeper, but I still think like you can't really disagree with like the impact he's made. He's obviously gives a lot more confidence to the Arsenal backline than Leno did because you can see it. So
Yeah.
that's a positive for them, and he's made some decent saves for them. But I think we can both agree that Jose Sarr
Yeah, I think
is
the only other one who we haven't mentioned who's probably got a chance is Edison, but I think it's like the same with Mendy and Alisson. You sort of come to expect them to have like the best numbers in the league, and because they're playing in such good teams, they've obviously got the best numbers in the league. But I think Sarr's impact has been up there, and I think he probably is the goalkeeper of the season so far.
yeah. I
Just some
think
stats.
especially after you think about like when they sold Patricio, who was a good signing in of itself for
Solid
Wolves.
goalkeeper.
You're thinking how are they going to replace him? And they've somehow managed to find another Portuguese keeper who's somehow better, which is
Yeah,
like
just some stats. He's got 6 clean sheets in his last 8. Obviously, that's maybe a bit of recency bias, but all season he's got the third most, joint third most, I think that is, and he's got the highest save percentage in the league with 85.3% shots saved. So he's clearly pretty good. We'll move on to right back, and I think personally there's only one contender for this. I think you agree, but
yeah.
we'll give an honourable mention to Reece James.
Yeah, I've got
Obviously,
to give a shout out to my boy. I think him getting injured as well is just
yeah, it's
it's
probably like narrowed
probably
it down on it as well. Even if he was going to like be in the team of the season,
yeah.
depends how long
But
he's out. Obviously, he was only off like 2 or 3 weeks. Then he could get back in if he does
well,
really well.
I think it's more like 6 to 8,
Oh yeah, I
which
think to
is
be fair, I think it was wrapped up anyway by the man who we're going to mention now. But Reece would have probably ran him pretty close for it, maybe if he
yeah,
was.
no, but yeah, Trent is unreal. He's got 8 goals and 9 assists in 18 games at right back, and
Eight
you see it
goals.
on Twitter from a lot of slightly sour fans of other teams about the fact that it's all about the system and it lends itself to fullbacks getting better opportunities and that, and it's like. Well, yeah, but he's still a fullback and he's got 17 goal involvements in
Yeah, but
18
also
games.
that's what the role is. This in the modern era anyway. Like
Exactly.
it's about attacking as much as it is defending, but also these claims that he can't defend. We've got the stats here, and he ranks in the top 10 percentile for successful pressures, interceptions, and ball recoveries amongst all right backs. So he's clearly doing something right in his defensive game. Yeah, he gets caught out sometimes because of the Klopp system and stuff, and he's attacking. Even has been to another level this season. He's got the most progressive passive in the Premier League. He's got the most shot creating actions with 90. And as you said, he's got how many assists? Was it 9? So
9 assists,
he
8 goals
even,
in
he could even
17.
break the record. I know it's 20 in it, De Bruyne's record.
Yeah. So he's pretty much on track with it at the
Yeah,
moment. So
if you say he gets like 2 in one game, he's on course for it really. Then
yeah,
any.
yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
it
so
may
success.
be that potent Trent Salah partnership where they do get so much joy. Maybe Salah missing for a couple of games, might just be.
It's one of them. Trent can assist anyone, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true.
We'll move on to the centre backs, and there's a couple of candidates for this, I think. So we'll go with the most obvious ones right now: Diaz, Van Dijk, Rudiger, Thiago Silva. All come to mind straight away. Any for you?
Yeah. I think they're all good shouts. I think Joel Matip, especially, has been really good for you. I think there's an argument to say he's been better than Van Dijk this year. To be honest, and if from maybe because I haven't watched every Liverpool game, but from what I've seen, I think the way he has that sort of almost attacking centre back mentality of being able to drive and cause problems is a big plus. I think he's just a really, really good addition, and he has sort of just shown how good a free transfer can be, really. And I think we've talked about him before, but Salisu at Southampton, I think as well he's probably a criminally underrated player at the moment. I think I think
maybe one of the big sides going for him. If they, like maybe United, I think United probably still need a centre back.
Yeah,
even with
Spurs,
the surprise,
maybe.
Even with the surprise return of Phil Jones last night.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'll give. Obviously,
Phil Jones for team of the season.
Absolutely not. But if you were doing a 45-minute highlight reel, I thought in the first half against Wolves, he was probably the only reason they didn't concede.
Well, it's one of them. You're doing shite when Phil Jones is your best player.
Yeah,
a man who hadn't played for them since before lockdown, which I thought was a mental stat when I seen that he was starting yesterday, and someone was like, "Oh, he hasn't started since before lockdown." I was like, "What the?" Right, so go on. I'm going Salisu. I've had that in from the start, haven't I? Told you that the other before we finished last week. Because despite Southampton sitting 14th, he's been one of the best defenders in the league. He's 6th for aerial duels won in the whole league. Chris Wood actually tops that stat, which I think is quite mental, really. He's 4th for interceptions, and he's got the second most successful pressure percentage, which is 42.7. But who partners him? That's the real question. And we have got some big names in there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna throw Rudiger as his partner, because I think you can say what you want about, like, granted, he obviously does have more protection, he does have more sort of license to look a bit better because he plays in the free. But it's also what he does going forward. Like, he takes advantage of having the extra cover, and he uses it really well. Like, he drives into the third.
Yeah, like I can remember one thing. He won you that penalty, and that was it the 94th minute or something against Leeds.
Yeah, he won both of our penalties that game. He got booted
in the box, didn't he? And like most centre backs, maybe Joel Matip, like you said before, but most centre backs, even though it is the 94th minute, even wouldn't be in the box to even win that penalty. I think it was a bit clever what he's done. I don't think there was really that much contact, but he made out like he'd been shot. But but yeah, I'll give you Rudiger there. Left back, I think again, there's only, like we said with right back, I think there's only really one man who can make a claim for that, and it is João Cancelo. I mean, the man is excellent at right back, and he's also exceptional at left back. What more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably he's a footballer. He's very much complete, as isn't he? Really, like,
he's arguably probably City's best player this season, in my opinion. Like,
I'd actually agree.
Him or someone who we'll mention a bit later. But yeah. He's defensively, he's 9th for interceptions in the whole of the league, and he's got the second most progressive passes and the second most progressive carries. He's just behind Trent for the passes, and I think he's behind it's De Bruyne, I think, for the carries. Or no, Bernardo maybe, I don't know, it's one of them. But he's an absolutely exceptional player. Key to the City side. I think if they lost him, you're thinking, if a team loses a certain player, like say Liverpool lose Van Dijk or something, and you think, oh, they're not winning the title, I think that's one reason maybe City might not somehow win it if like Cancelo gets like a long-term injury, because I know Zinchenko's good in the ball possession and stuff, but I'm not convinced defensively that he's as good as...
No, he's a lot more gettable, isn't he, than Cancelo? I think.
If you look at the team and you had Cancelo or you had Zinchenko, if you picked who City could have at left back, you'd pick Zinchenko, so you could have a go at him. 100%. So we'll move on to defensive mid. Again, there's a couple of names like Fabinho, Jorginho, say Declan Rice, Rodri, of course. And although I think Fabinho and Rodri have been very good this season, I think you sort of expect that of them anyway. to be at that world-class level. So I'm going to go for a man who shares my name, Declan Rice.
Yeah, Declinio is
He's a beast at both ends as well, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's
top 1% for interceptions. All of his passing numbers are in the 80 or 90th percentile, which means like there's only like 10 or 20% of players who are better than him. And he's top 7 for aerial duels. Now that surprised me somehow. I don't know why.
I think as well what's why Rice gets in here as well is I think last year people started to take notice of him a lot and realised that West Ham have a player here, and it was just whether he could sustain the sort of performances he'd put in sort of every 2 or 3 games, and then he started pretty much every game of the Euros. Was really good for England at the Euros, and he's taken his game to a level which probably a lot of people didn't really think he had. Like you said, at both ends of the pitch, him and Souček in that midfield is one of the best midfields in the league, and it's up there. Like you would not want to face that by any stretch. It's ferocious.
Look what he's done, and he's not just done it against like the little teams either. They beat Hughes, they beat Liverpool. It's like he's doing it against like the biggest teams. I'm pretty sure they played well against us in the league. I can't remember, but obviously they knocked them out the cup. I think that was without Rice actually, if I remember. But like the impact he's had on this West Ham team, they're near the top 6. They're near the top 4. They could potentially get it but I think maybe Conte's Tottenham could stop them now. Maybe Arsenal, but they look as good as anyone in that bracket.
Yeah, and I think as well,
is obviously a key part of that.
Yeah, I think as well, you're looking at like this is obviously the Premier League team this season, but in Europe as well, like his first proper season in Europe, and he's captaining the side for a lot of games. Like he's taken on a role which is defying expectation for him, and I think he's doing it really, really well. So yeah, Declan Rice is in the holding midfield.
Definitely. I think we were probably a bit conflicted on our midfielders, weren't we? I personally think you've got to have Bernardo Silva in there. I think he's so satisfying to watch. He's vital for City. He's got 7 goals, which when I was doing like my research, I was quite surprised. He had 7 goals, to be fair. But he's not just an attacking midfielder. He's in the top 1% for like progressive carries as well. I mean, he like carries the ball from the midfield into the attacking area. So he obviously like takes the ball off people and picks it up, or his teammates are like comfortable giving him the ball. So it's like, anyway, I think his influence on this City team is maybe a bit underrated. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I think Bernardo Silva is one of them where there's been some years where he it doesn't look like he hardly gets a kick, and then there's like I think now you're looking at sort of E19 season where everyone was talking about him, and then for a couple of seasons he was there still playing, and now he's just come back with full force, and maybe it's to do with the fact that they've not had De Bruyne as much for as many games as they'd want. Maybe the fact that Grealish hasn't sort of made the impact they wanted. Maybe and Foden as well, and Bernardo Silva's gone. You know what? Fine, I'll do it. Like if no one else is going to do it, I'll do it. And he has got that mentality of he's a really good player going forward, but he also has that sort of tenacity and that desire to work hard and defend as well. So he's the perfect player you'd want in your team. And yeah, he's been really good this season. I think to give a shout out, because we've got 2 centre midfield spots, I think we talked about him as signing of the season, and Conor Gallagher for Crystal Palace, I think as well deserves an honourable mention, if not a joint position in midfield with him, because the impact he's made on the Palace side, like Palace were this season, I think it was on a knife edge really. A new manager, a lot of new players,
a new manager as well, who's not proven in the league. The last 2 jobs Vieira had, I've done some research on it during the summer. I was going to do an article on it, didn't in the end. But what was it, New York and Nice in France? And it was quite underwhelming in both of them, really, for what the expectations were, especially at New York. Like, obviously, they expected to absolutely steamroll the league, and he sort of made the playoffs, but then, like, bottled it. And then in Nice, I think he did get Europa, and he was on, like, a good run, but then he sort of just went down. But he's come in and he's obviously got his tactical identity, and he's implemented it really, really well. Which I was
and
kind of surprised that it's happened so quickly. I think at the start he had a couple of bad results, didn't he? And obviously everyone was like, oh, but you could tell by the way they were playing that it was going to come.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah.
Anyway, Gallagher's been fantastic. I think there's one other midfielder maybe who has a shout, and people will probably call me a bullshitter for this or whatever, but I think Thiago's got to be in there. He's an absolutely crucial cog to this Liverpool machine, and you see it in games where he doesn't play. I think a lot of people about Thiago last season, they were like, oh, he's shit, he's overrated, he's not world class anymore and all this. But you've got to consider he come in, he had 2 man of the matches, I think it wasn't his first 2 games against Chelsea and Everton, so in big games. And then obviously he got that snap by Richarlison and he's out for ages, comes back in to a COVID team who's been decimated by injury. Like there's no Van Dijk, there's no Matip or Gomez. I think he had like Henderson and Fabinho as a centre-backs, or like Henderson and Kabak or Phillips or whatever. Not going to have the same impact, and then he has that amazing impact the last 10 games and is one of the key players as we just about scrape top 4. But this season he's top 1% for the passes into the final third, progressive passes and carries, and defensively he's top 1% for successful pressure percentage, ball recoveries, and he's top 5 for aerial duels, which really shocked me because he's about 2 foot.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think when we were looking at it, he's won 15 and lost 5.
Something stupid like that, yeah. Which for a guy of his size, against some of the more physical midfielders in the Premier League, you'd think maybe he wouldn't really be there, but clearly it's an underrated aspect of his game.
And I think the thing is with Thiago, I think obviously the easy criticism is the direct goal involvements and the fact that he has 1 goal and 1 assist and 1 big chance created. Yeah, I think sometimes you have to look at what a team loses when a player's not playing, just as much as what they gain when he is.
You can see what we lose when he doesn't play, like Brentford, the 3-3, West Ham, where we got beat 3-2. I think the other day, Chelsea, we conceded 2. I think when we first started the season, like the only games we conceded in were games where Thiago didn't play.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
records with Thiago is unreal. Obviously, him and Fabinho formed an unreal duo. I think it's like they've played 16, won 16 or won 15 or something stupid like that. Well, put it this way, Liverpool's win percentage with Thiago goes from 100% with him to like 36% without, or something absolutely ridiculous like that. Like, I think right wing we'll move on to now. There's only one player really, isn't there? Mo Salah, but we've talked about him enough in these podcasts over the weeks. So all we really need to say is that he's top of the charts for the goals and assists. He's got 16 goals, 9 assists. I don't think really much more needs to be said on that.
Disgusting.
We'll move on. Who's your centre forwards? I know.
Disgusting.
Diogo Jota come up in our discussion, but I think again there's one man who we can go with.
I think Mikel Antonio for me has been the man really. Like you look at like a lot of the feeds.
Have you just swerved me there? Like I thought we was going for Dennis. I thought we was going for Dennis.
See, I thought you'd swerve me by moving on from the midfield because I had a boy in my midfield.
Oh, who did you have?
Mason Mount.
No, I had him left wing.
Oh.
Yeah, I had him left wing. Oh, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so I've got Dennis up front. Dennis up front because in that Watford side, he's got 8 goals and 5 assists, and he's looked like a hell of a player as well. He hasn't been like rubbish, and then he scores a random goal, which is kind of what Jota's sort of been doing. He's sort of been a bit underwhelming with his link-up play and stuff, but he gets that, which is what you want, obviously. But at the same time, in a game like the other day, you need him to be. If Jota's passing was better and his link-up was better with Salah and Mane, we'd have won that game 4-2. There was moves where you could see Salah had got free of, like, was it Rudiger and Alonso maybe, I want to say. And like if Jota timed that pass right and hit it hard enough, Salah was through on goal, and Salah through on goal doesn't really miss, does he?
No, true. But, okay, right. Let's it's
Dennis centre forward, yeah.
Okay, so we'll put Dennis centre forward. Yeah, 8 goals, 5 assists, 17 appearances for a Watford side that can play football at times but can't defend and can't keep the ball well. So yeah, he has been tremendous. Yeah, no, yeah, unless you play Man United where everyone can keep the ball. But yeah, okay, I'll give a shout out to Mikel Antonio because I think
Yeah,
in a similar vein to sort of Dennis, Rice, and some of the other players we mentioned, is you look at players' impact when they're not playing. And I think West Ham look like half the team. I think they're getting better at it, to be fair, where they're utilising sort of and be other players and being able to find systems to win and score goals without him. But when he plays, like he just makes them so much more dangerous. He's got 8 goals, 5 assists in 19 appearances, so a slightly worse goal
I
involvement
know
to
that.
game ratio. But
Look, I didn't know we had so many goals and assists, Antonio. I thought maybe he'd been a bit underwhelming this season, but it sounds by that like he's been actually really, really good. I know against
I think
Liverpool,
he
obviously,
has, yeah.
he caused the first goal, didn't he? With maybe it's a foul, maybe it's not, in some people's opinion, do you know what I mean? But he caused the goal, and he was all over. Him and Ogbonna, I think it was, were all in front of Alisson in his business, and obviously Alisson ends up not punching the ball or not catching the ball or whatever. And then I think, did he score? No, yeah, he is a good player, Antonio, though, but I think Dennis just slightly edges it for me this season, especially with obviously West Ham are flying, so it's easier to score goals, I think, and get assists in that in teams that are flying rather than teams that are absolutely rubbish at the bottom of the
Oh no, I
table.
agree. I
But
agree.
so
I
yeah, we're going
agree.
with Dennis then, yeah.
Yeah. We'll go
Yeah.
with Emmanuel
And then
Dennis. Yeah.
left wing, I'll let you have your man Mount. I seen one of the pundits, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Neville, maybe it was Garth Crooks. Went with Foden at left wing, and I just think, yeah, Foden's a good player, but this season he hasn't been as crucial to City as he was last season or the year before when he made his breakthrough kind of thing. He's not been as good this season, I don't think, Foden. I think
No,
your
not
boy,
at all. And I
your
think
boy Mason Mount is
Mount as
probably
well. We've had obviously we've gone through a bit of a sticky patch, but the games where we've got results, Mount's been at the centre of it all. Against Villa, he was superb. He was really good against West Ham, even though we didn't get anything from it. He got a goal against Watford. Like he's just really, really establishing himself in this team. And I think like the consistency of his performances this season, like 7 goals, 5 assists in 18 games. Like I think it's really good. He's the youngest Chelsea player to get 20 Premier League goals, I think,
nice.
which is quite impressive. It's also a slight indictment on our use of young players previously,
Yeah,
but
yeah, but
um,
your system with the youth players, I think, doesn't make it very easy to break through. Obviously, the ones who have probably very, 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 very talented, otherwise they wouldn't make
yeah,
it because
yeah, but
it
yeah,
seems to be so ruthless. Obviously, a lot more than making it nowadays. I think maybe that transfer ban maybe helped you a lot in Lampard when he was in. But
oh
obviously,
yeah, like
Tuchel also seems to have embraced it, though, to be fair. He's given Cho a lot more game time. Obviously, Mount's an absolutely key figure. He's obviously give Chalobah the breakthrough as well, which I
yeah,
was quite surprised about at the
yeah,
start of the
Reece
season.
James as well.
So, wasn't he kind of in the team anyway, though, under Lampard and stuff?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
oh, sorry, yeah,
most of them.
I was just talking about Tuchel on that little bit then, yeah, just
Oh right,
Tuchel.
yeah. I
He's
mean,
give like
Tuchel obviously with
follow on
Chalobah,
that.
yeah. I think he's getting the best out of Hudson Odoi.
Yeah.
Hudson Odoi. I think people forget that he's only 21.
Yeah, I was one of them. I sort of wrote him off. I'm thinking he's a bit crap. He's only got like 3 Premier League goals, but then last season I think he scored against it. I won a bet because I
Yeah,
like Hudson Odoi now. I remember I had a bet. I was sweating on a bet, and it was like looked like for all bloody things in the world, City were beating you 3-0, and I had
yeah,
both teams to score. And I'm sitting there like, oh, my bet's over. And I only need like Juventus, I think, to win or something stupid like that,
yeah,
who should win. And then he scores that goal in the 90th minute. So I celebrated that like it was a Liverpool goal. So I'm quite
yeah. No,
thankful
I
for
remember
Cho
that, and I
winning me like
think
2-1 last year. But yeah, he has developed clearly under
yeah, and
Tuchel.
he's one of the few Chelsea players, youth players as well. He's never gone out on loan.
But that, I
So
mean, that's kind of mad. Even Mount had a season, I think it was Vitesse. Yeah, Vitesse.
and
Because
Derby,
Derby, of course, yeah. I was doing an article about
yes.
Harvey Elliott
Mhm.
in the summer, and that's what I was looking at Grealish's and Mount's numbers in the Championship, and Harvey Elliott bettered them like so.
Yeah,
Shout out to
no,
him. He's going to
yeah.
be a
Look,
long. I
he's
had him as my breakout star, didn't I, for this season? But obviously that cruel injury. But I would argue that he did break out in a way because obviously like he he, um, he cemented the place in that Liverpool midfield. Like, and that's not an easy thing to do. So we must be some kind of baller.
Yeah,
but big things are coming for when he's back. Could even slot in maybe on the left wing when Liverpool lose Sadio Mane for AFCON. And speaking of AFCON, we're going to move on now to our AFCON preview.
Yes.
And now I think we've got to consider Algeria as the favourites. They've got Riyad Mahrez, who is without doubt an absolute baller.
Yeah, well, he's City's top goal scorer this year, isn't he?
Wow, I did not know that. That's quite mental.
I know.
They
I
have got,
think I heard it.
They have got that kind of like perfect balance to balance out the goals, haven't they, really?
Mm.
Whereas we've sort of got Salah who just smashes them all in.
Yeah.
And Jota and Mane who smash a couple in. You know what I mean? But City have got like all them players sort of contribute with goals. So they're unbeaten in 39 games, I think it is. And they won the last AFCON 1-0 against Sadio Mane's Senegal. But 39 games unbeaten, John.
That is scarily impressive for any international team, isn't it?
Exactly. Even if it is like, obviously people have this thing about African football, it's not as good, but clearly they haven't just played African teams either. So like,
yeah, and it's not just
even if they had, that's mental. Like, even if England played Luxembourg, San Marino, and bloody the Vatican City or something, I don't know, like 39 times, I wouldn't expect England to win every single one of them games. I just wouldn't. It's England.
It is incredibly impressive, and it's not just Mahrez they've got as well. They've obviously got
Benrahma in it as well from West Ham.
Yeah, they've got Benrahma, they've got Adamunas from Napoli.
Oh yeah.
They've got Ismail Benacer from AC in midfield. They've still got Islam Slimani and Sofiane Feghouli kicking about in the squad.
Wow, Feghouli. That's a forgotten name, innit? We had that one season, I think it was at West Ham or something.
Yeah.
He was like sick on FIFA. He had like 90 pace on FIFA. He was like one of your like Ibarbo type players, I think. Ibarbo and what's his name? Doumbia and players like that. It was just dead fast.
Yeah.
I think everyone on FIFA 12 or something had them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got like Mahrez. They've also recently won the Arab Cup, and I mean, I know that doesn't really translate into Africa, maybe, but like it's still clearly a side who've got a winning mentality. But can the 2019 finalists who they beat Senegal stop them? They have obviously a very good spine of the likes of Mendy, Koulibaly, who else have they got? Gray, the PSG man who used to play for Everton, and then obviously the main man Sadio Mane up front.
Yeah, and they've also
Can they do it?
Yeah, I think. Look, Senegal were those. I think the last World Cup. I think Senegal people looking at the Senegal team and going, "Wow, I didn't realize they were that good." Like, didn't realize, and they are like they have got a really good spine, and I think that's
the only thing
quite
I think
an underrated thing, especially.
Is they haven't got Sarr. Well, they might have. He's going over or something. According to Athletic, he's going today. But he's got a knee injury. So Watford have basically been like, from what I understand, you can look at his knee, but you're going to look at it and see the exact same thing that we've seen and be like, how we can't play.
Yeah, exactly. And they've still got other players. They've got Keita Balde. They've still got Aboula Di from Villarreal. Like they've still got some good attacking options. They've obviously got the Mendy at Leicester. They've got Pape Gay as well in Marseille. So the other gay centre midfielder. And then like they've got Bouna Sarr at Bayern in defence. They've got Koulibaly, obviously. They've got Mbaye who plays for Bologna. Cheick Kouyaté as well. So like, and even without Mendy, they've got Gomis, who's the Rennes keeper, and they've got Seny Dieng, who's the QPR keeper, as their goalkeeping choice.
I'll be happy for QPR losing him.
Yeah, and I think he's stacked, really. Their team is very stacked.
Very good, very good. Speaking of a team who aren't as stacked, but have probably got arguably the best player in the world, Egypt, do you think, can they win it? I mean, they've got Salah. He's lethal, obviously, probably the best player of the tournament. They've got like Trezeguet, who I think on his day is a very good winger. I mean, shock and dive the other day, by the way. That is probably it's a dive Tom Daly would be proud of, mate.
Oh, mate,
he entered the dive.
It deserves a red card. It deserves a red. That's what it does.
Yeah, it's that bang on. It probably does. To be fair, like it was just so bad. But if he can score like he can dive, in the AFCON, then Egypt will be flying, know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
they'll win it unbeaten. But
yeah, the
yeah,
only
I don't
thing I
know.
think as well that could hamper them, they've got some Al players in, and the Club World Cup happens like during the latter stages of AFCON. So I think their players are going away. So it's just sort of like
Yeah,
not ideal for them.
that could be an
Can Mo
interesting
Salah fire
factor.
them to glory?
I think no, not because I don't think Salah could score probably a hat trick against most of these teams, but I think there's 3 or 4 teams who are slightly better.
You have got
And
more better
they're
squad.
just better, well
squads.
rounded. They're just more well
Yeah.
rounded. Like then the individual quality of Salah is obviously undeniable, but like when you've got as a completed team as Senegal do, or Algeria, or some of the other teams we're going to go on to talk about, like it's always going to be a struggle for one man to do anything.
Yeah. Right, so we've got Nigeria, which interestingly though, they've got no Osimhen, who was obviously doing absolute bits in Napoli and done bits before that. I think was it Leo? Yeah, Leo.
It was.
Rumored to be linked with Arsenal and stuff, but he's out through a facial injury and COVID, I think, as well. And obviously Watford have not released Dennis. Apparently the Nigerian FA didn't contact them in time or something, which is like, are they being a bit shady? Maybe, you don't know.
There was a thing I saw because my flatmate's a Watford fan, that for some reason they decided that they weren't going to call him up anyway. But I think obviously he's managed to. He obviously has convinced them otherwise. But look, even without, you take out Osimhen and you take out Dennis, you've still got Iheanacho. You've got Iwobi. You've got Chukwueze. You've got Moses Simon at Nantes. You've got ex-Liverpool Taiwo Awoniyi, who in United. Yeah, so look, their team's still perfectly good. They've got Wilfred Ndidi, Joe Aribo and Frank Onyeka in midfield. They've got Liam Balogun.
Onyeka the Brentford guy.
Kong.
Onyeka
the Brentford one, yeah. And then you've got Liam Balogun, the Rangers.
He's quite good as well, isn't he? I like him.
Yeah. And they've got a little blast from the past for Chelsea fans, Kenneth Omreyu at centre half.
Oh my God, was he one of your youth talents or something, wasn't he?
He was ages ago, and he went on loan to Middlesbrough when we gave them like half the team. And then, but yeah, he's in Spain now, I think, Leganés. So, but look, their team's also fairly not too badly well-rounded as well. But
the only thing I would say is they parted with the manager not long before the tour. Like I think it was like last week or the week before or something. They parted with the manager, which is, I think, a bit strange. Yeah. Imagine like England sacking Southgate just for the World Cup or something.
Well, that's what Spain did, didn't they, with Lopetegui?
Oh yeah,
that didn't go very well.
No, but although actually, to be fair, they were quite unlucky, Spain, in the Euros, if I remember. Weren't they quite unlucky against Italy? One in the semis, and he nearly won.
Was it not the World Cup that they sacked Lopetegui?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of the Euros,
yeah. And then I think they lost to Russia on penalties in the round of 16. So.
Oh wow! I think there's one other team who can probably win it. Ivory Coast. Their attacking options are insane. Wilfried Zaha, Nicolas Pepe, Maxwell Cornet, although he couldn't play left back to be fair, and obviously probably saved the best till last year. The man who broke Haaland's record in the Champions League, Sebastian Haller. Yes. And then in defence, you've got Eric Bailly, who, believe it or not, is actually quite a solid centre back on his day, in my opinion. Like. So I think they're probably the teams that can win it. I can't personally see past Algeria though with that winning streak and just with some of the talent that they've got.
Yeah, but I think what's like you're going through like 4 or 5 teams there, like even thinking past AFCON and you're looking at sort of the World Cup that's coming up very, very soon now, like in a year's time really. Well, less than a year, and the African teams are looking very strong. Like there's always been some 1 or 2 decent African teams, I think, at World Cups. But I think a lot of the time, when you think about sort of like African teams in sort of the World Cups when we were younger, you were looking at sort of the Ivory Coast with the Touré and the Drogba talent, and obviously
2006, I think it was Cameroon. When they had like Ivory Coast in the World Cup and stuff, and then you had like your likes of Ghana, I think it was, and was it 2010
with Michael Essien there and
good runs, didn't you? I think. Luis
Yeah,
Suarez,
and
obviously, handball off the
handball,
line. The hand of God for Uruguay fans, probably. And then you had, like, who else? Someone else has done good at the World Cup African team, but I can't quite think for the life of me who it was. But anyway, yeah, I think, as you're saying there, I think your point anyway was that this World Cup could be like one of the best World Cups for the African teams.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the talent
with
spread
the talent that they've
is
got, yeah, definitely.
really good. I think Algeria showed it, have shown it in I think the one I think they lost to Germany the year Germany won it in 2014,
Could be. I
and
know they did all right at the 2010 one, didn't they? I think, if I remember right.
it might have been the 2010 one, but like it is a very like there is a good distribution of talent amongst the teams now, and it's not many teams are lacking in. I think there's obviously one or two positions, but like not many national teams are very complete. So look, it could be a very exciting sort of couple World Cups for African teams, and I hope so because got some really a lot of players that I quite like there as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good talent who are African these days. Well, one we haven't actually mentioned is that I think it's is it Sulemana or something at Rennes. He's doing absolute bits. You reckon all the top clubs are going to be around him. And the one who's actually missed out on Ghana's, I think it's Ghana's squad, is that is it Giano, Afina Giano or something, the talent at Roma. The one who Mourinho said the other week, I'll buy you a pair of like mad shoes if you score
Yeah, and he
goals.
scored.
And he scored two, and he bought him a pair of Balenciagas the next day, didn't he? So
Yeah, no,
clearly there's
true.
quite a good talent pool emerged from Africa. There's obviously a lot of players who are already established who we haven't even thought of or mentioned here. But yeah, it's certainly good times for Africa, and I'm sure we'll be keeping our eye on AFCON.
Yeah, no, definitely.
We watch some of our favourite players and also maybe find out about some new talents. Anyway, guys, that's the end for today. Make sure to follow us on our socials, on Instagram at Crazy Kickoff, and on Twitter at Crazy_Kickoff. I'll put it on the bottom here for you. There you go. That's the Twitter for anyone who wants to follow us. See you later, guys.
See you guys.